If you believe that relentless hard work alone will guarantee your success, allow me to liberate your mindset. The individual who labors without guidance is merely a worker, a laborer caught in a cycle of endless toil, spinning the wheel of busyness without a purposeful destination. In contrast, the individual who thinks with intention stands as a king, building a path toward success through clear vision. If you find yourself busy yet unaccomplished, it's time to break free from these mental chains. The world has conditioned you to think that simply working harder is the solution, when in truth, what you require is sharper thinking. You've been led to conflate movement with progress, fatigue with achievement, and suffering with virtue. However, let me be clear. Mere motion without direction results in aimless drifting. When effort is exerted without thoughtful intention, it becomes a form of servitude. Endless labor, uninspired by purpose, does not elevate you. It binds you to unawareness. Throughout my journey, I have studied the lives and strategies of history's most prosperous individuals, not through hearsay, but through deeper understanding. From Andrew Carnegie, who created more millionaires than anyone else, to Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, John D. Rockefeller, Charles Schwab, and Abraham Lincoln, I absorbed their methodologies into my own life. What became evident was this: the world does not reward sheer hard work, but rather the clarity of thought. The top 1% do not think like the majority. Their thoughts are systematically organized, their decisions rooted in principles, and their outcomes born not from frantic striving, but from methodical command. These remarkable individuals do not wait for directives. They generate their own mandates. They engage not in aimless wondering, but in decisive action. They do not simply act. They act with purpose, rhythm, and thoughtful governance. This is why I assert that hard work alone will not lead you to success. While it may ensure survival, it does not pave the way for the creation of wealth or legacy. To ascend to new heights, you must master the art of thinking, daily, systematically, and as a discipline. Carnegie taught me, I can get men to do anything if I provide them with a plan. This insight shattered my illusion that relentless effort was the key to achievement. It is not the quantity of effort that matters, but the quality of direction. By pointing average individuals toward specific tasks, Carnegie enabled them to generate wealth, not through sheer strength, but through specialized alignment. Consider your own hard work. Where has it truly directed you? You find yourself exhausted, returning home mentally drained, recognized for your effort, yet deprived of meaningful results. This predicament is not your failure. It is a systemic issue rooted in a society that has failed to teach you how to think intentionally. But that cycle ends here. I am committed to providing you with 8 mental disciplines, principles that distinguish the 1% from the 99%. Each principle is a tool, a weapon, and a key. You won't just memorize these principles, you will embody them. By doing so, your world will transform dramatically. You are not here merely to strive harder. You are here to think differently. You must cultivate rhythm, law, and decision-making in your soul. Instead of begging life for results, you will learn to command them. Your mission is to adopt the mindset of the top 1%. Part 1. The 1% begin with a written law. The average person waits. They wait for opportunities, for someone to recognize them, for ideal timing, for inspiration, for permission, and for signs to guide their actions. They drift aimlessly, circling like a storm around a mountain they never dared to name. In contrast, the top 1% take action without hesitation. They declare their intentions. They do not respond reactively. They act with direction. This unwavering command is articulated through a written law, known as a definite chief aim. This document is not a mere wish or fleeting desire. It constitutes the internal constitution of an individual who has made a resolute decision about who they will become. Every successful person I have studied began their journey with a decision clearly articulated in writing. What I refer to is not a casual goal, but a written law, a powerful declaration that ignites an internal fire through words so clear that the subconscious can absorb them. The subconscious does not respond to vague noise. It reacts to precision, repetition, and conviction. Carnegie instructed me to write my life's purpose down, not to simply think about it or whisper it, but to record it and read it aloud twice a day, once in the morning and once before bed. Why? Because he understood that without being explicitly inscribed, a law is not a law. Until the mind can see it in print, it cannot obey it. Until the soul can perceive it, it cannot resonate. If your aim is not explicitly written, your efforts become scattered and your energy is divided. You are susceptible to every distraction as you navigate life without a guiding sword or compass. You pursue illusions and miss out on significant achievements, mistaking this endless grinding for productivity. I can assure you that if you are laboring without a definite chief aim, you are straying from the path to prosperity. You may survive through your efforts, but you will not thrive, since true riches respond to clear command, not confusion. Thus, I urge you to determine precisely what you want, not vaguely, not emotionally, and certainly not as something distant. What is the clear outcome you are striving for? Declare with conviction, I do not simply work harder. I think sharper and act under law. Say it again and let it take root in your mind. This repetition is not mere exercise. It is guidance for your subconscious that begins the formation of your new identity. Your written aim must represent more than just words. It must be a deeply held conviction that sends a shiver down your spine when you recite it. It should evoke vivid imagery of the person you aspire to become, imbued with passion and clarity. If it lacks these qualities, it is merely background noise with no real power or purpose. Initially, when I wrote down my own aim, I felt unprepared and unqualified. But that was irrelevant. The act of writing changed me fundamentally. It was the first instance where I issued a command, not a lamentation, to my subconscious. From that moment onward, my trajectory began to shift, not due to external circumstances, but because I finally possessed direction. You must stop prolonging your journey for the sake of confidence. Stop waiting for certainty, and write down your aim immediately. Not after reading another motivational book, not following another seminar, and not after you've experienced yet another failure. The mind heeds only what has been declared, and until you articulate your aim in writing, you remain adrift. The influential figures in the top 1% do not rely on guesswork. They document their purpose. They do not wonder about the way forward. They assert their decisions. They never say, "I'll figure this out." Instead, they declare, "This is the law I will follow." They build businesses, vast empires, intricate systems, and enduring legacies based on one explicit written command. They wake each day with it and retire with it, repeating it until it manifests in their reality. No greater secret to success exists than this. Clarity becomes command when repeated. Command shapes identity over time. Identity leads to tangible results, and these results intertwine to create legacy. But everything begins with a single written statement of purpose. This is not optional. This is the law. Do not question if it will work. That's the language of the unproductive 99%. Do not wonder whether it's the perfect goal. That is drifting thought. Instead, decide firmly. Write it down and repeat it. Allow the law to shape you through unyielding rhythm rather than constant re-evaluation. The person who rewrites their aims weekly lacks clarity. They are riddled with insecurity. You will not be that person. Take a piece of paper, craft your personal law, and articulate it with conviction every morning before you interact with the world. Repeat it every evening before you go to sleep. Speak it with passion, with confidence. Even if your voice trembles, let your subconscious absorb it, allowing it to reconstruct the person you once were into the individual you intend to become. Remind yourself consistently, I do not work harder, I think sharper, and act in law. This will become your new rhythm, your mantra, the gateway to the top 1%. Success begins not with labor, but with law, not with effort, but with strategic instruction, not with frantic hustle, but with written thought. You cannot progress if your aim remains unwritten. You cannot evolve if your purpose remains unarticulated. You cannot rise if your life is dictated by tasks rather than guided by direction. Write down your law. Repeat your law. Obey your law. This is how true leaders are forged. Part 2. The 1% think in outcomes, not in efforts. The average individual idolizes effort. They praise exhaustion, confuse activity with genuine progress, and mistake suffering for power. They keep track of their working hours, boast of their labor, and wear their fatigue as a badge of honor. However, let me clarify. Fatigue does not equate to advancement. Pain does not always signify profit, and the counting of hours is meaningless for those who lack a guiding principle. While the 99% continuously question if they've worked hard enough, the top 1% ask, what have I produced? The outcome-oriented individual evaluates their day based on results, whereas the labor-focused person measures it by their effort. One actively constructs empires. The other breeds resentment. When day turns to night, only one of these mindsets draws closer to genuine authority. To be clear, if your life revolves around the question of how much you've accomplished rather than the outcomes realized, you remain ensnared by the mentality of the 99%. You seek validation through visible effort, resembling servitude rather than success. Henry Ford demonstrated that he wasn't concerned with how many hours his employees worked. He prioritized one vital thing: output. What was constructed? What was finalized? What was achieved? A person can labor for 10 hours yet accomplish nothing substantial, while another can execute one decisive hour of meaningful work and transform their reality. This is the mindset of the top 1%. It is essential for you to cease questioning whether you are working hard. Instead, focus on whether you are generating value and meaningful outcomes. Train your mind to think in terms of completion rather than duration, precision instead of energy, and destination rather than mere motion. Say it now. I am not a laborer. I am a commander of results. Repeat this affirmation until your mind embraces it, until your actions align with it. The moment you shift your daily measurements from busyness to actual completions, you will enter a new realm of existence. The drifting individual begins each morning with a long list of tasks, but lacks vision. They check off boxes, fill their calendars, and complete mundane errands, yet they end their days no closer to their defined goals. This is not discipline, it is delusion. The disciplined individual acts solely on what advances their aims, discarding everything else without hesitation. You must initiate each day with one powerful question. What result must I create today that will bring my ambitions closer to reality? Do not fixate on how many hours to devote, how many emails to respond to, or how exhausted you should feel. Instead, focus on that singular result. That will be your command. This is the essence of how the 1% think. Edison was not pacing his lab to appear busy. He was driven by an unwavering vision. Every wire he manipulated, every diagram he sketched, every experiment he conducted was in pursuit of one outcome: illumination. He envisioned a world lit up before a single bulb had ever flickered to life. This wasn't mere hopeful thinking. It was law manifesting. You may wonder, how can I envision what is yet to come? I assure you, it is the unique gift of humanity. While animals act on instinct and machines operate on repeat, humans possess the ability to envision futures that do not currently exist, to articulate them vividly, and through disciplined adherence to the laws of success, manifest them into reality. This isn't fantasy. This is mastery. In contrast, the 99% often employ their imaginations to dwell in fear. They solicit potential failures, rehearsing their anxieties instead of envisioning success. It is crucial to break free from your past experiences and allow imagination to liberate you. Understand that your future does not have to mirror your past. Embrace the mindset that you are the architect of your own destiny. By shifting your focus from labor to outcome, from panic to productive imagination, you will begin to manifest the life you desire. Repeat after me. I do not exist as a laborer. I command outcomes. Each time you take action, every time you plan, and every time you resist the temptation of excessive busyness, you are aligning yourself with the rhythm of the top 1%. Part 3. The 1% use imagination to command the future. The average person is a prisoner of their own memories, waking each day burdened by yesterday's fears, failures, and disappointments. They dwell in the past, believing their future must inevitably reflect their past. This self-imposed bondage arises not from their circumstances, but from the repetition of destructive thoughts. In contrast, the top 1% live by their imagination. They rise not with remorse, but with vision, propelled by an inner clarity so vibrant and commanding that their current reality must ultimately yield to it. They are not at the mercy of circumstances. They actively shape them. They do not merely react to what's happening around them. They take charge and create their own outcomes. This principle is straightforward. All things are created twice, first as an idea and then as a tangible reality. The individual who constructs nothing within their mind can produce nothing in the physical world. Every magnificent palace begins as an abstract thought. Every great fortune is realized long before it materializes. Every influential individual I've encountered has resided more within the realm of vision than within the confines of current realities. Edison employed his imagination as a dynamic blueprint. He would retreat into silence, immersing himself in an inner world where he virtually walked through the inventions he would one day create, long before a filament ever sparked. He could see the light, envision a world aglow, well before it was ever realized on Earth. This was not hope. It was law unfolding before him. When you contemplate what hasn't yet come to exist, remember, that is the very gift of humankind. Animals respond reflexively, and machines obediently repeat. But humans have the unique ability to conjure visions of what could be, articulate them clearly, and through disciplined devotion to their aspirations, bring those visions to fruition. Do not allow your imagination to slip into fear. Envision what can emerge instead. Instead of being shackled by memories, cultivate a mindset where your possibilities are limited only by your imagination and will. Harness the power of your mind to create a future that aligns with your true desires. Remove yourself from the mindset of the 99% and embrace that of the top 1%. Now, let us conclude with a resounding affirmation. I am not merely a laborer. I command the outcomes of my life through clarity, purpose, and disciplined imagination. With every step you take, every decision you make, and every vision you pursue, you are walking along the path of the elite 1%. Embrace this transformative journey, and the world will open up to you in ways you never thought possible. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay updated with more motivational content. Like, share, and comment to support our work and spread the message.